my war bands and the new and upcoming expansion, The War Within. Now, I have tested all of the healers, some more than others, but that's because of the power and how they feel. Now, I've played a lot of the healers back in Dragonflight, and I really enjoyed the spec, even though they were harder or weren't as good. Now, one of those specs in Dragonflight, Preservation Evoker. Now, both hero talents are very, very good on those. I like Chrono Warden. I like Flame Shaper. I think it kind of comes down on how you want to play it. But once you start getting into the higher keys, those 12s and ups, you're going to start realizing there's probably one that's going to have a little bit more power behind it. And you can raise health bars. Like, God, you can raise health bars. It is ridiculous. If you can do proper setup. And that's the main thing behind Preservation Evoker is there is a setup to do it correctly, to maximize what you need to do. If you cannot do that correctly, if you fall short or miss something as you are trying to do the healing, people are going to die. But that's the joy of being a healer, right? So preservation is going to be the first on the list, and probably Chrono Warden. Now, next one on the list, Resto Druid. Resto Druid felt terrible at the beginning of beta. Oh my God, it was bad. Like, it just kind of baffled me on how they could mess something up so bad. But they gave us some slight buffs and good things happening. And then they kind of nerfed some of the damaging abilities, and I was kind of disappointed because Keeper of the Grove is a good hero talent spec, but it just is kind of boring, dropping your treants out to increase your healing done, even though they nerf the healing that your treants can do. I don't know. To me, it's not as rewarding. It kind of limits you, really. It focuses more on Wrath, Star Surge, all your ranged abilities. So really, you don't even feel like cat weaving anymore. So that kind of comes down to where, hey, I don't want to cat weave. I just want to heal as a druid and maybe do some ranged crap and just hit somebody. Keeper of the Grove is going to be it for you. So yeah, you got that choice there. If you want to play Resto Druid, you got that choice. Now, Wild Stalker is another one where it is more of a wrinkle brain class. It buffs your cat damage. Also, your 2 hots, Rip and Rake, will also, I think I said that right. Your 2 hots, dots, that you use as a cat will put Bursting Growth on a target. And the Bursting Growth is just another dot that it puts on, and once it expires, it explodes. Now, if you have Bursting Growth on a target, it increases its damage taken, I think, by like 6 or 10%, something like that. But on the healing side of that, you get an extra hot called Symbiotic Growth. Now, that gets put on or applied by your ticks and your hits of Regrowth and Rejuve, and it gets also Wild Growth and your Efflorescence. I'm pretty sure those are it. And then it's a for sure you put it on somebody when you do Swiftman. And you can go spec into 2 charges of Swiftman. And if you see a target that has, well, say your tank has 1 stack of Symbiotic Growth on it, you can Swiftmend him twice and put 3 stacks. Now, each stack increases your healing done to that target by 20%. It's kind of cool. It's kind of nice. I wish it was a little more consistent, but you can kind of control the consistency with your Swiftmends. You can do a good job at healing with a druid, but it is kind of like you need to put your hots on them in order for your regrowth to hit at all. Like it just doesn't make sense that, other healers are out there who can just stop doing what they're doing and just start casting a single heal and raise health bars with it. When a druid is you put your hots on that do nothing. You got to put your hots on to use regrowth for regrowth to actually start healing. Regrowth is going to be a huge amount of your healing done in a dungeon. And I don't like it. They're not in the greatest of spots. I wish they would kind of maybe take photosynthesis back to its 20% tick rate and then maybe move Flourish onto a whole nother node. Make it compete with Tranquility. I don't know. There's ways to make it better and also not make it overpowered. A lot of people will be super biased and be like, oh, we need to have this and have that. And I'm like, oh, and then you're going to start getting like really overpowered. So anyways, Resto Druid is going to be, on my warband list. Now, the next one is Mistweaver. Now, I love Mistweaver. I love fist weaving. It is so freaking fun. There's a good chance Mistweaver will be my main. They have good throughput. I think everybody's sleeping on Mistweaver. You do not see them in very many dungeons. You don't see them very often in beta. Like, they do a really good job. And there are some spots where melee healing is kind of a bugger, but it is what it is. You can work around it. Now, the one hero talent they have is Celestial Conduits, and Conduit Celestial is I probably beefed up on all those words, but it's fine. Anyways, they get a new ability, and it's where you just pop up into the air, float around, and you start spinning, and you do damage and you do healing. And it is a cool ability, and it does a good job at healing and do a decent job at damage too. It's a nice little 1.5 minute cooldown. And that's a fun spec to play. But people, I think, are sleeping on Master of Harmony. Master of Harmony, I love that spec. I mean, you get to build up the aspect of Harmony, and once you use the Thunder Focus Tea, it increases all your healing done by 25% to a certain amount. It pulls out of that pool that you built up with all your healing. So over healing, it only takes a certain amount, but once you actually do active healing, it starts filling that up pretty quick. And you can get a weak aura that shows you where you're at on your pool size, because it only goes to the max amount of your health. So the larger health you have, the bigger pool you have to draw upon. There's another spot in there, a point you can put into where your Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kicks, and Tiger Palms, when you pop Thunder Focus Tea, and it's for like, 10 seconds, 12 seconds or something like that, you do damage with those abilities. It will draw upon that vitality stored and turn it into damage and put it into a dot form as aspect of Harmony. And it, honestly, you can get that thing to tick pretty freaking hard. I've had it going up to almost 600k, 600,000 DP damage per second. So it's kind of nice, and you can build that vitality back up fast. So yeah, it's a good chance that Mistweaver might be my go-to. We will see. Now, the fourth one, I was kind of tossed up between Holy Paladin or Resto Shaman. Both are good. Resto Shaman's better utility. Holy Paladin was doing well in beta, and then they did some slight reworks and nerfs to certain abilities to where now they've kind of fallen down from that. Man, this is a pretty good healer. I like it and enjoy it. Now it's like it's a good healer, but there are better choices. But it is a playable class by all means, especially for pushing keys. That's kind of what I like about this. They kind of got all these specs set up to where you can actually do a really good job. Now, we'll see when you get into the really high keys, 15s, 16s, and we'll just go from there and see what happens. I think some of it's going to rely upon tank survivability. But fourth pick for my warband will be Resto Shaman. I'm not crazy about their gameplay, but that was one of my very first healers back in BFA. Yeah, BFA. Yeah. But now with their Totemic hero talent and their Farseer hero talent, both are good and both are different. Now, the Totemic, you rely upon your totems to help you out. Your healing stream totems are going to be doing a lot of throughput. When you look at your charts at the end of the dungeon, you're like, oh dang, that does a lot. So it's kind of one of those drop, forget. Pops out a chain heal with all your totems. And then Farseer is where you can proc your Farseer along with the random procs and get that extra healing where he's casting a similar ability to what you're doing, and you can get some pretty good burst and control. So honestly, I think a lot of the specs are in a decent spot. Now, Holy Priest is sitting in a really good spot. Their throughput is very good, and their damage is pretty decent too. Like, it's kind of up there, one of the highest. But I think what's holding them back, and a lot of people agree, are they don't have an interrupt. They have Psychic Scream, which is okay. But we're kind of going into a season where stops don't do it. Like, you stop somebody from casting with your Psychic Scream, your Roar, a stun, they immediately go back to casting it once they're done. So interrupts are important, because if you interrupt the cast, then that keeps them from casting it for a while. And so it's kind of going into one of those really interrupt heavy meta type deals instead of stops. And And Priest just doesn't have any of that, and it's kind of unfortunate, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. Especially when you got Resto Shaman over there with one of the best interrupts in the game. I wish they would ranged Mistweavers interrupt. Not range, but at least increase it by like 3 yards would be super nice, and buff me too. But that's neither here nor there. Anyways, that's my pick for the warbands, and honestly, it's a fight between Mistweaver and Prez. If they do something to Druid, maybe, I don't know. They nerfed him a week ago again, an undeserved nerf. I have no idea why. They weren't ridiculously strong then, and they nerfed him a little more. So it's kind of, I think Blizzard is wanting Druid to step away from the light for a little bit, and they're gonna get what they want. So, but if you like what you saw, you know, hit that like, hit that subscribe, jump over to Twitch, find me there, find me on X, follow me. You know, all those little things help out a ton. And I'm going to continue making these. I'm just kind of few and far between them because content that hasn't been covered already is kind of hard. So I just wanted to give you guys my take on my warband and what I want to play, and we'll go from there. You guys have a great time with this expansion. I'm pretty sure I will. And we'll see you on the next one, all right? We'll catch you later.